Hi guys, it's Carissa. Thank you for your patience on this. I did tell you that I wanted to put together a questions and answers video. I pulled together every question I got. And now some of these, it's funny because I cringed a little when I saw them because some of them I thought, do I really want to answer that on the internet? And none of it's that personal or that scandalous, but as open of a book as I try to be, I guess I am very private at the same time. So we'll see how this goes. Some of them I can just tell I'll be long-winded on, so get a snack, make yourself a cup of tea. We're gonna be here for a minute. So the first question I have here is, how do you talk to your husband about going to get his sperm checked? For someone who's been trying to conceive for a while, I would like to recommend that you go about it at the angle of financial issues. I know that I can speak to my husband in terms of money and maybe get his attention a little bit more, and I think maybe other men could too. Just let him know you will save yourself a lot of money and time by making sure, just getting it out of the way and making sure that he isn't the actual issue. If he is, it's kind of an easy fix. For some people it's not, but it's rare. So just tell him, one visit to the doctor's office, to a urologist, or wherever you would go for that. Maybe if you are seeing a reproductive specialist, do it there. So a lot of times that's one of the first steps. They don't want to put you through all of this if it's him. So just let him know. Think about all the co-pays and all the potential IUIs and everything, like the full procedures that you could go through and have to pay for, when all you have to do is check and see if maybe he's the issue. How do you keep a marriage together while trying to conceive? This particular person said that she's been trying for about a year. I will tell you what, honestly, you will learn a lot about each other and a lot about yourself during this process. Trying to conceive and being faced with fertility issues is easily the largest struggle that you may go through in your life and in your relationship together. And for some couples, it brings them together. In my instance, it took a little bit, but it ultimately made us a lot stronger in our relationship. I'm insecure because I'm the reason why we can't have a family. And my husband doesn't feel any differently about me, no resentment towards me. If he does, he certainly does not show it or ever bring it up. So you might be surprised. I have heard of this actually breaking up marriages and relationships, and that is a possibility, I'm sorry to say, but what you want to do is make sure that you're constantly supportive of each other and that you never throw the negatives at each other as blame. I would get upset with my husband sometimes because I have to do all the work. I have to go to all the appointments and take all the drugs and do everything really to make this happen, and throwing it in his face is only going to make things worse. So you learn along the way. It's not easy, and I certainly am not the one to say I have the answers, but I will tell you, just pay attention to the signs. I think a lot of people say, wow, this really shows me that this is or isn't a person that I would want to have children with, and that's something to really pay attention to. But I really hope that you have none of those types of problems and that you are successful and happy and have your happily ever after. I really do. Somebody did ask me how I met my husband. I will link a video below where I did tell this story, but the short version is that I met him at a school dance where our two middle schools in town were going to meet, all the students were going to meet each other before going to the high school the next year. And it was one of those we both remember it very, very well because we were both completely smitten with each other instantly. But I had a boyfriend, and so it was like, it was actually a little bit painful, but it started a very long process of us becoming friends before we dated. And I think that had a lot to do with how great our relationship ended up being. What is your nationality? If I had to make a pie chart, I could tell you that I'm 25% Japanese. And I'm also a little bit German, a little bit English, and a little bit who knows what. Have you ever lost a significant amount of weight before? I have. I've done it a couple of times. When I was in high school, early in high school, I dropped probably about 40 pounds. And then I got really sick and I lost about 20 pounds more. It was just poor eating habits and just being a teenager, if you ask me, honestly. That's really what happened. And then when I was 19 or 20, I lost just over 50 pounds, and I did it in a really unhealthy way. I was barely eating, and I was taking like diet caffeine type pills. I was going to the gym for 4 hours a day, working a full-time job and going to school, and I was just completely maxed out, strung out, and terrible. I looked amazing if you ask me. I did have really bad acne from a combination of the stress, bad sleep, bad eating habits, and the caffeine pills. But I started using Proactive, acne cleared up, and I looked hot. I was just a monster. I was hungry. I was miserable. But I maxed out, like I opened and maxed out like $2,500 or $3,000 worth of credit cards at the time because I just wanted a whole new wardrobe because I thought I looked so good. I was only ever wearing those clothes to school and work because that's the only places I ever was. And it was a really rough time in my life. I was going to far too an extreme to get there. And am I glad I did it? No, but I am glad I experienced it because I know that it's not worth, you know, Mike and I ended up breaking up at that point for a little while. I lost a lot of friends. I wasn't doing well at work. I wasn't doing well at school. And it's because everything suffered. And at what cost, really? I just gained it all back. If you could take 3 things on a desert island with you, would you do it? I don't know if you... is this a trick question? I don't know if you meant what would you take or would you do it? If I had to go to a desert island and take 3 things with me, would I do it? I don't know. What's the island? What are the terms here? But if it's if it's the question that normally is like, what would you take? That makes me feel hysterical and gives me terrible anxiety. So if I have the option of saying, would you do it? I'm going to say no. What would I take? I would take my loved ones. And if I can't, and then if I have to break that up, it would be my husband, my pets. Is that possible? I have like 16 of them. I have a lot of pets. Maybe just I don't know. I can't answer this question. It's making me freak out. I'd probably bring my sister. Oh, but then she'd have to bring people too. If I only have to bring items or objects, I don't know. Makeup, a blender, and some way to play or make music. Is there electricity? Do you see what this question does to me? I can't take it anymore. If you were approached to be on a reality show, would you do it? If it was something kind of like a Real World or Big Brother type scenario, I actually do think I would do it. Just because I have this thing where I feel like I like connecting with people and I like people to be able to relate to me. Is that, I don't know if it's egotistical or if it's just me just wanting to embrace everyone possible and just like love them and be loved back and just have like, I'm also kind of controversial. I talk a lot of shit and I'm kind of a bitch. So I think that would obviously show and it would be great for TV. I would probably do it just for the experience. And then I'd very likely regret it because I'm sure not a lot of good comes out of doing those kinds of things. Somebody asked me, what is the deal with not being able to eat dairy and bananas? And I will probably do a nutrition video soon, I promise. I've been really backed up with work, so that's why this video took me so long to make. But basically, I've just found out that the way that my body with insulin resistance digests certain types of sugars, even ones naturally occurring in fruit like dates and bananas, is not ideal for my condition with having insulin resistance from PCOS. But some people with PCOS don't have insulin resistance. And if you're not sure, your doctor can tell you, but there's a really easy way to check. Are you completely overweight and obese? Or are you like skinny fat? Do you have like a thin body and kind of a bigger belly? You're probably insulin resistant. And if you have a really hard time losing weight, that's a really good sign. So that's that. Dairy, I'm just lactose intolerant and I don't handle it well at all. If you can tell, my voice is really raspy today. I had cheese yesterday and I've been suffering all day for it. It gives me horrible upper respiratory congestion. Why do I do it? Because cheese is cheese and I shouldn't have to explain it to you. But I normally don't eat it throughout the week. Yesterday I kind of treated like a little bit of a cheat night and I had pizza for dinner. Are you religious or spiritual in any way? This is a really difficult question for me. Despite my will and want, desperate will and want to have some kind of spirituality play a role in my life, I feel like I've come to a place over the years where I just can't fill that void. It's just something that it is something I struggle with. It's not something that I actively seek to change, but I feel open to the idea that someday I will feel that I can be more spiritual. I do have a tendency to feel very anxious about the mortality of myself and others. My mind only really believes, understands, and accepts, whether I like it or not, the scientific aspect of life. I desperately want to feel differently, and that's something that I'm going to allow to happen at its own natural pace. I would hope that those of you who do have really strong faith and beliefs understand that I envy it and that I would like to get there someday. I'm not there right now. Whew, I'm glad that one's over with. Next question I'm going to do quick and dirty on. I have done a video on this before, but was asked for an update on the meds and supplements that I'm taking to boost my fertility. And will I be trying any meds to get pregnant, or am I just trying naturally first? I have done medicated cycles, several of them actually, with IUIs, and I've even done medicated cycles without IUIs. I'm taking a break right now because I was never told technically that I'm infertile or that I'll only be able to conceive with IUI or with IVF. I just happen to have a more difficult time producing quality eggs. So what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to lose as much weight as I can, and in the process I'll be trying naturally just so I don't lose cycles while trying that. My friend Lisa told me that she had a pill container that was awesome, and I looked at it and it didn't fit all the pills that I have to take. So I found a much larger one. It has all the days of the week and then 4 different dose times per day. And I do have 4 different dose times per day. I take Synthroid for my thyroid. I take a blood pressure, like water pill for high blood pressure, which I've had since I was a teenager, and I've been medicated on it for about 10 years. I also, which I don't have here, but I also take metformin for insulin resistance. I take fish oil, magnesium, evening primrose oil, a prenatal multivitamin, chromium picolinate, I don't know how to pronounce that. That's supposed to help with insulin resistance. Cinnamon capsules, which is also good for insulin resistance. Green tea supplements, red raspberry supplement because I can't drink that tea all day. Vitamin D, maca root powder, Vitex, coenzyme Q10. I take a baby aspirin, and I'm also taking Fertility and Ova Boost. What is your astrological sign? I am an Aries. Someone wants to know a strange talent that I have. I can sit down from a standing position without moving my legs. I'll like cross my legs first and then sit down. What are some of your hobbies and guilty pleasures? I don't do a lot of crafting or art because I do so much art for work, but I don't mind because it feels like I feel like I get the same thing out of it as being able to create something that I have for myself. I would also consider home decor to be kind of a hobby of mine, but I've kind of calmed down on it recently because I have pretty much done everything for now that I'd like to do in our home. As far as guilty pleasures go, I would say definitely napping. I love taking naps. People with kids act like, oh, I want to take a nap so bad and you're such an ass. I would gladly never take a nap again for the rest of my life to have a family. So shut up and let me enjoy it. Do you have any names already picked out? Something that some of you may be able to relate to when you're trying to conceive for 5, 6, 7 years, people have babies and they use those names. It happens. My grandmother, who meant so much to me, her name was Lillian, and when people would call her Lil for short, and she always hated her name. Someone she worked with asked for permission to name her baby after my grandmother. My grandmother said no because she never liked her name growing up. She said, don't do that to your daughter. Name her Jillian instead. And my grandmother's coworker did do that. Just to show you what an awesome woman my grandmother was, that somebody that she just worked with wanted to name their kid after her. I naturally kind of always loved the name and thought, I don't care what she says, that name is happening in some form. But I no longer feel that way because it's become so popular, and it just wouldn't mean the same to me if I had a daughter named Lillian in a sea of Lillians in the world. That's just, growing up with a really unique name myself, I feel really close to it. So I love the idea of something unique that's not obnoxious. I would say nothing's for sure. My for sure number one, no matter what boy name, got ruined by a reality show that I don't even watch, but everyone else in the world knows about it. So it's like, I can't use that now, and it's really popular now. So that name was Jace, just in case you guys are going to ask. Did you go to college? And if so, for what? I did not go to college for more than like a half a semester, not even. I begged my mom to take me to New York City to have an admissions review with FIT, and I brought my portfolio that I worked very, very hard on. It was all figure studies, and I took college courses while I was in high school to beef up that portfolio. I somehow convinced my mom. We took a trip and drove all the way down to New York City. The head of admissions, probably one of the scariest men I've ever had to show my artwork to, took my portfolio. He looked at it really fast like this, barely saw half of it, and closed the book and looked at me. And as my stomach was dropping into my butt, he said, I don't have to see a thing. You'll be able to do anything, anywhere you go. I'm gonna approve your admission. And I felt like I was gonna like cry and spit and like stammer all at once, but I just smiled and walked away and never ended up going to that school. I did get my admissions letter, like my acceptance letter. I still have it. I'm very proud of that, but I never ended up going. I was really scared of putting my mom, who was a single mom at the time, into really bad debt. I went to a local school about an hour away for art. They make you do prerequisites first, so it was just like going back to high school, but it sucked way more. I was scared about being like a bad student or wasting time and money, so I got a job before I even went up there. When I wasn't at school, I was working. I didn't go to a single party. I didn't have a sip of alcohol. I didn't have any kind of typical college experience. I was like more straight-laced in the couple of months that I was in college than I have been at any other point in my life. And I think maybe I went crazy from that, because then I just moved home and fell madly in love with my high school sweetheart and stayed here and got married. And I'm still doing artwork for a living, so I guess I don't feel that bad about it. Are you good at home decor, organizing, etc.? And if so, what are your tips? Everything in our home in some way has like my hands on it. Maybe I'll make a video on that. I don't know. I don't really know what I would show you guys, but that's something that means a lot to me, is to have a space that really feels good. I believe a lot in like color therapy, and that the things that you see and are surrounded by on a regular basis really affect your mood. So I've tried to create a very airy, light, but modern and like unique space for us. And luckily my husband shares a lot of my same taste. So I'm influenced a lot by nature and by just like colors that make us feel good. And so that's what I've done. And if you ever have any questions for me, I don't consider myself an expert by any means, but I would totally love to help you. You know, you can send me pictures or a message or whatever, and I do get excited about stuff like that. What are all the different things that you've tried up until your chance to conceive naturally? We went to reproductive specialists after about 5 years of not trying but not preventing. I have had my tubes checked, and I have been diagnosed with PCOS. I've done several IUIs, medicated IUIs with Clomid, and then I did a recent one with Femara. I have not gone so far as injectables yet, but that's likely to be the next step when we do decide to go back to the specialist. I have not looked into IVF yet, but that also could be our next step depending on what the doctors recommend. Our insurance covers none of it, not a penny. So it's difficult for me to justify trying to conceive, when really if I lose a significant amount of weight, that will increase our chances of better egg production right there. So although losing weight is much more difficult with PCOS, it is kind of a catch-22, but that's really where I'm at right now. 5 odd things we don't know about you. 1, I like to sit sideways in chairs. I don't like tomatoes, but I like tomato sauce and tomato juice. I couldn't burp until I was in my early 20s. Something would just like kind of gurgle to hear and stop. It's really attractive, but that was what it was. I like to cover my face when I sleep and uncover my feet. I cry all the time over really ridiculous things, like how cute an animal is outside, or like a picture of a cat on the internet. But when something serious happens, it takes me days to be upset about it enough to, well, not upset about it enough to cry, but it's like my body won't let me cry over it. I go into like shock. But if you show me a really cute video of like a platypus or something, I'll tear up instantly. Where is your favorite place to vacation? I'm not a repeat vacationer to anywhere except for Las Vegas. I think I've been there 4 times. And I do really like it, but it just happened to be that I went there on all these different occasions for all these different reasons. Would I go again? Yes. I don't necessarily consider it my favorite, but it's the only place I've been more than once. I noticed what I think is a tattoo on your wrist. What is it? My YouTube girls in Milwaukee, we had kind of joked about the idea of getting a tattoo previously. Like, I think Lisa and I were like, oh, what if we went and got tattoos? Well, one of the days that we were there, she brought it up, or somebody brought it up, and we went to get tattoos. We were talking about the infertility awareness symbol, which is like a heart with like a very rough drawn circle around it. It almost looks like a watercolor brush kind of swirled around a picture of a heart. And I love that, but I wanted to make it mine. So what I did was I ran into my hotel room, which is across the hall from Lisa's. Diana and I had a hotel room across the hall. I took out my mascara wand and I kind of smeared on my wrist where I would get it, exactly what I kind of thought I'd want, just so I could see it, like stand back in the mirror and look and see, because I've always wanted a tattoo on my wrist. I just never knew what I would get. I really liked it, and less than an hour after the idea was conceived, we were at the tattoo parlor. To some people, and I could completely relate to this thought, I think that if someone else were like, oh, I got an infertility tattoo, who was on YouTube, I'd be like, calm down, we get it, you can't have a baby. Like, seriously, do you have to scar yourself with images of that? Like, I think I might judge that. But this is truly the greatest struggle of my life. This is the most emotional and difficult thing that I've ever had to do, and also keep private. At the same time, I've needed to talk about it and needed to find outlets for it, which is what I did here. And I've met people who I consider to be lifelong friends during the process. So I have absolutely no regrets about this tattoo. The great thing is it isn't distinguishable necessarily as the symbol for infertility awareness. So it is my own in all my own ways. It's a picture of the heart with the swirl around it. And it also really symbolizes to me the love that I've found in, now I'm starting to sound like a Rihanna lyric. Dude, I totally found love in a hopeless place. I have never felt more love at a time of feeling so hopeless. My cat just tried to jump on the table and missed. Come here, buddy. It means so much to me. The interactions that I've had, the friendships I've formed, and the strength in my own marriage that I've found through this. You know, we may not come to the other side of this. We may never actually achieve this. But I know that we are stronger in our love for each other as a result. And it's something that all kind of wraps up into this smeary little thing on my wrist. But I wanted it to look really rough. I want it to look like brush strokes, like painting, and that I really love it. 3 wishes. What are they? You can't wish for more wishes. I think that there are some really obvious things that I could say right now, and I want to stray away from that. Great health and fortune for me and all of my loved ones for the rest of our lives. I wouldn't want anyone to suffer from any debilitating or terminal illnesses or sickness. So unnecessary or ridiculous war. I hate the idea of war and senseless killing, and I would wish very much for all of that to go away. That I could have a milkshake without any consequence ever again. So I would never again have any of my lactose intolerance, sinus related disgusting consequences, and it would never ever affect my weight. You can invite one person from any time, living or dead, to dinner for one evening. Who would it be and why? I know that there are a lot of people that I could get a lot out of having dinner with just once. People I've never met, people that would influence me greatly. But we would have dinner frequently with my grandmother growing up, and up until she passed away. Every week she'd call us, we'd go out to dinner, we'd laugh, we'd sit there forever. I just want one more dinner with my grandma. Just one more. Having a hard time recovering from that last one. Okay, so the next question is, what kind of art do you make for a living? My income comes from making something very simple. I take white plain porcelain dishes like this, and I paint various things on them for people to keep trinkets in. Most specifically and most often it's used as an engagement and wedding ring holder. So, you know, it doesn't have the little thing in the middle, but you don't really need it. You can just put, you know, rings, earrings, bobby pins, whatever in there, and I can put the wedding date, the couple's initials, like a theme to the wedding, whatever. I will link my Etsy shop below if you want to see them and what I do, but that's what I make the most money off of. I've done all sorts of things. I've done paintings and wine glasses and pet portraits, but my bread and butter are these ring holders. Who is your best friend? Obviously, Mike and I would consider each other best friends. He says it to me all the time that I'm his best friend, and it means so much to me. My sister, for a very, very long time, has been my best friend. Growing up, we maybe didn't necessarily feel that way. Just him in general. I just love him as an artist because he's got this like sexy nerd vibe going on, kind of, I guess. I don't know. He has this self-deprecating humor that just makes you love him even more. But he is so smooth and soulful when he sings. I will link below a video of him doing a live cover of Little Red Corvette by Prince. He is on iTunes. You can buy his albums from his website, and he's also on Spotify if you use it. I'm the kind of person who can get sick of things really easily. Different artists, different people's voices, different songs. I can just get really, really sick of them easily, but I will listen to him every time, all the time. Mike is different. He will listen to the same, like, I swear, he'll listen to the same Foo Fighters album like 3 times in a row while he's doing work around the house. And I'll hear the same song come on for the 4th time, and I'm like, will you please listen to something else? But he really loves Julian's music, and he'll play his music all the time, knows all the words. We're both huge fans. Julian, call me. He doesn't know who I am, but he recognizes us. Like, oh, there's this chubby girl from upstate who's always dragging her husband to my shows. When we went to see his show in like the fall, I asked him, how much do I have to pay you to sing me happy birthday on my upcoming birthday? And he kind of laughed, and when he was shaking Mike's hand to say goodbye after the performance, he was like, just get a hold of me and I'll sing happy birthday to her. You don't have to pay me. My 30th birthday, every time Mike asked me what I wanted for my birthday, I said I wanted Julian Villard to sing happy birthday to me. So he bugged him, he nagged him a little bit, because he was like out on the road doing a gig or whatever, but he, a couple of days late, called me and sang happy birthday to me.
Hey Curtis, what's up? It's Julian Villard.
What an awesome guy, huh? Right? I don't know. I just love him. No, seriously, Julian. I don't know. I think he likes redheads. I get the impression. So I don't have to do this anymore. Just let me know. Just say the word. Alright guys, thank you. If you have made it this far, that is awesome. But thank you so much for submitting your questions and just being interested and watching in general. This is the part where I get really emotional and tell you guys how much I love you and how much I appreciate the fact that you watch my videos and that you have been such good friends to me throughout all of this. I am so bad sometimes with responding to comments, but I promise you, if you've commented more than like 2 or 3 times, I recognize you, I appreciate you, and I know who you are every time you make the comment. It always means so much to me. And some of you I wish made videos because I wish I could get to know you all even better. Thank you again for watching so much. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.